Hello everyone and welcome back to our mini YouTube series all about hashtag female boss. My name's Lisa Wardlaw and I'm the College Delivery Manager here at Young Enterprise Scotland, so I manage our Bridge to Business programme. We welcome another amazing female boss to our YouTube mini series today. So today we welcome Victoria Hamilton. So hello Victoria.
Hello, hi Lisa.
Hello, welcome to the interview. Victoria is the founder and director of Recoil Kneepads, founded in 2013. Recoil Kneepads are a game-changing pair of knee pads for the professional trades and construction industry. Often described as like kneeling on a cloud, which seems pretty cool. The knee pads were designed obviously by you, Victoria, and initially were designed because your dad was suffering from arthritis and he's a carpenter. That's amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, well done you. So I think we'll just kick start. And why don't you share a little bit about yourself and what Recoil Kneepads is all about?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so as Lisa said, my name's Victoria Hamilton, founder of a business called Recoil Kneepads, which probably seems like a really random product. And there's always, people always, when I say that, people are always like, how did you ever come up with that product? It's so random. But as Lisa mentioned, the backstory is that my dad's a joiner. He's got arthritis in his knees. And I studied product design engineering at Strathclyde Uni. So in 2012, when I was about to go into my final year of uni, I needed to think of like a design project to propose. And I couldn't think of anything at all. And just sitting chatting to my dad one night, and he'd came home and he'd been fitting a new floor and a new kitchen in someone's house. And he said to me, oh, I was like using these knee pads and they weren't that great and my knees are really sore. And then he was like, why don't you design some new knee pads? And originally I thought, like, is there really a big market for that? Is that really a big problem? And my dad had kind of reassured me it was, and he was like, just go and chat to some other people and see what they think. So I went and spoke to some of my dad's friends and other people that I know that work within trades and construction, and it seemed to be a reoccurring issue that like the existing knee pads that people were using, there was a lot of problems with them. So I went back to uni and started my final year, and I thought, right, okay, I'll do my final year design project looking at redesigning knee pads. And then came up with this idea that if you put springs between two layers, you could like absorb the initial kneeling impact and then spread the pressure more evenly across your knee. So that was basically, I thought it was just going to be a uni project. And at the end of the uni, I was just walking along the corridor one day, seeing these two posters up for two entrepreneurship competitions. And I thought that looks quite cool. Like I've quite liked the idea of, you know, developing a product and taking it to market and doing my own kind of thing and starting my own business. But I don't really know if I can do it. And I don't really know if my idea is good enough. So I spoke to my project supervisor and she was just like, well, why don't you just enter them? Like, you've got nothing to lose. You've got an idea, competition's free to enter, just enter it. So I entered both, and then I won £5,000 from the Santander University's Entrepreneurship Awards, and then £50,000 from the Young Innovators Challenge competition. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I should actually just go and do this and see what happens. And there we go. That was the start of what has now become Recoil.
That's amazing. I love that. And you know what I love so much about that story as well? And it's actually so many of our students through Bridge to Business can absolutely relate to what you're saying. I mean, not knowing if your idea is good enough, and even just taking that little bit of, just having a bit of confidence to believe in yourself, to just kind of put yourself at your comfort zone and apply for something like that. And it worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing as well is, like, I remember looking at the competition, the Young Innovators Challenge one, and it's like top prize, £50,000. And I remember just thinking, like there's no way I'd ever win that. Like, that's ridiculous. That's a phenomenal amount of money. I would never win that. Competition's going to be fierce. And it was almost something that put me off from actually entering it in the first place. But I'm so glad that I did enter it, because obviously you've got to just enter these things and just see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, part of your course, was there anything that covered, you know, business, or did you have any other opportunities within, you know, your university to kind of kickstart business ideas, or, you know, something else?
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of in my final year. We had a couple of lectures just towards the end of my final year about things like the business model canvas and like designing a business plan and how you pitch your idea and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of like had a little bit of insight into that, and that was definitely helpful for entering the competitions. And then when I entered the competitions, I actually discovered as well that there was like a whole kind of aspect at Strathclyde called Strathclyde Inspire that supports students and staff with business ideas. So I got involved with that network, and then it all just kind of like went from there. Like, as soon as you started kind of asking people or connecting with one like support agency, like there was new support agencies appearing, and it just kind of all like catalyst from there, I guess.
No, that's really amazing. And it's cool how you're mentioning the Strathclyde Inspire, because through the three colleges in Glasgow, we've actually had a collaboration with Strathclyde Inspire through Bridge to
Okay.
Business, which have been giving some students the opportunity to get involved with that. So that's actually really, really cool. So obviously, you know, starting up a business and, you know, running a business, it's a hard slog. So what would you say your struggles have been since you've been running your business, and how have you overcame them?
Yeah, so I think if I go right back to the start of the journey, £50,000 initially, you think, wow, that's a huge amount of money, and that's going to get me from like just an idea to something that I can start selling. I realised that with the type of product I was developing, £50,000, it didn't go as far as what I would have liked to have gone, and we did end up running out of money at one point in time, and it was probably like that was the most challenging time, I think, because we got so far in the process, and then we were so close to having something we could put on the market, and we just needed a little bit extra cash just to do it, and we'd run out of money. And it basically involved like me going and bootstrapping the business. So I took on like two other roles. So I'd worked for Homebase when I was a student. I went back there. I was like, can I get my old job back? So I ended up with like a 30-hour contract in Homebase, and then I was working for a product design consultancy as well, for 20 hours a week.
Wow.
I had like these two other jobs, like 50 hours a week, and then I was basically just using the money that I was making from those jobs to fund Recoil and get us like through that kind of like little cash dip that we had. It all worked out okay in the end, and like got some really phenomenal experiences from it, and really good stories to tell as well, just about some of the crazy situations we found ourselves in as a result of having no money and just trying to still bring a product to market. But that was probably the most challenging bit, the most testing bit. But just like I actually look back on all the memories, and it's probably the most like it was probably the most fun stage, to be honest, because you just had to be creative, you had to be innovative, you just had to figure stuff out and just keep going.
No, absolutely. That's really inspiring. It just shows your determination to make it happen. I mean, you obviously really believed in what you were trying to create here, and you obviously seen that this was going to be something, you know, something big, and you knew that there was definitely something missing, you know, and that's why you put your heart and soul into that. And I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there was so many funny stories as well. Like, basically, we had the product, we had the parts manufactured, but we didn't have the cash to actually get someone to assemble them. So I decided we would just do the assembly ourselves. And my mum and dad very kindly donated their garden shed, which became like Recoil HQ for assembly for like a good few months. And like honestly, I was I'd finish my shift in Homebase on a Friday night, and then I drove through to Edinburgh. And I literally like loaded up the car with as many like injection molded components as I could fit in the car, drove it back home, and then we'd spend all weekend like assembling these knee pads in the garden shed. So it's like funny stories like that when you reflect back on it. And
I love that.
Lots of pictures and stuff as well of like us just sitting in this garden shed surrounded by boxes. And yeah, it's all just good fun.
Yeah, you know, but there's so many amazing businesses, and obviously yours as well, that have all started with like that. You know, I always think about, you know, maybe Apple or Amazon and stuff like that, starting in garages, and there's loads and loads of amazing businesses all over the world starting up right now, who are from people's bedrooms, especially obviously through COVID. Lots of people, especially lots of young people, actually are starting to start up businesses and use like social media to get their products and all that out there, and they're doing it from their bedroom.
Definitely, you've just got to be resourceful. Like, there's no, if you can start a business and you can like keep it as lean as possible, just do it. Like, no one needs to, like, nobody knew, like, we were selling knee pads and nobody knew they were being assembled in the garden shed other than us at that time, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Like,
I love
it was still a finished, good quality product. It was just, it had a funny backstory to it of how it was actually being produced at that moment in time. But as you say, like, if you can start a business and you can do it from your bedroom, just go for it. Like, if you've got resources available, there's no reason not to.
Definitely. And you know what? I think obviously working from home and managing a business from home is keeping your overheads a lot lower than if you're taking on a premises or anything like that. So, and what I'm guessing now, you're not in your garden shed working for Recoil. You've moved premises and you've got all your where is all your stock now? Where have you moved it all to?
Yeah, so we've got a fulfillment partner in East Kilbride now, so everything's in an actual proper warehouse rather than the garden shed. And we've got an external company that we work alongside, who now does like the assembly and the picking and the packing and the shipping when we get the orders.
What would be your top tip for students participating in our hashtag Female Boss initiative if they were actually looking to start up their own business?
I think the best tip and the best piece of advice really is just believe in yourself and just go for it. And you can start a business under like very lean principles. So you don't have to have a lot of cash to start stuff. Just think about what you can do and then just start doing what you can do. And then as soon as you start doing what you can do, you'll get introduced to people and connections will grow and your network will grow. And if it's funding that you need, you'll find out where that funding's available, and gradually it'll all kind of like snowball and you'll eventually kind of just get there. But I think just really you just need to think about like, what can you do just now, and then just do what you can just now, and just speak to people, speak to as many people as you possibly can. That was probably the key thing for me. As soon as I started speaking to one person, they were like, right, well, you could speak to this person, this person, this person. Then I went and spoke to those 3 people, and then they each said, right, go and chat to these 3 people. And it just kept multiplying, and my network just grew, and I found lots and lots of support out there and lots of resources out there. So they all are there. You just have to go and speak to people, and you just have to kind of be proactive and do what you can do just now.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, having a network and even using things like LinkedIn and looking out for people who are there, who are potentially maybe running similar things to you, or, you know, who have done in the past, or can definitely help you kind of, you know, guide you and mentor you as well. I mean, mentorship's obviously a massive thing in general in life, but especially in business. And is that something that you've really found valuable while running your business? Have you found really good mentors who have guided you in certain aspects of your business?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like we've already mentioned the Strathclyde Inspire network, but that was one network where I found some really, really good people just to help give advice. And then I met people through the Scottish Edge network as well. My current investor in my business as well, I've met him through Scottish Edge, and he's became basically a kind of mentor to me and mentor to the business. It's just go and chat to people. And I think as well, like what you mentioned there about LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a really powerful tool. And don't be scared to like reach out to people, but like, you know, tell them about a backstory. Like, don't just send a blank kind of meeting or invite request. Like, put some like comments into it and tell them what you're trying to achieve, and tell them why you think that they could help you. And then that person, you know, if they see it, they understand like why you've reached out to them, and if they think they can help you, then it can potentially spark a conversation. So I would say like LinkedIn's a really powerful tool. You should definitely look into it and get using it if you're not using it.
Absolutely. I love a bit of LinkedIn. I think that's like my most favorite professional network in terms of like social media, really, because I'm not really down with like Facebook and stuff like that much, but I love LinkedIn because it's global. I mean, you can collaborate and meet new people from across the globe, and you never know, you know, that little message or connection that you do might lead to something else. You just never ever know. So yeah, no, it's a great tool. I love it.
And I think as well, like every day has to start somewhere, and when you're reaching out to people, if you're kind of honest and you just tell them like, okay, I'm thinking about starting this business, there's so many people out there that will just relate to like what you're telling them, because every day has to start somewhere. And just tell them, be upfront, be honest. I'm thinking about starting a business. I think you could maybe help me. Here's what I'm thinking. Would you have 10 minutes just to run over it and give me your thoughts?
Absolutely. And people are usually always happy to give that little bit of time to help, especially young people who are looking to start up in business as well. You know, no, that's brilliant. So what would you say is your biggest achievement to date?
So biggest achievement to date. So this is probably more just a personal one as well. When I was a student and when I was in high school, I used to work for Homebase. And I always had in my head, like, it would be really cool to like design a product and then like get it on the market and like sell it in Homebase, just because that was the store that I worked in when I was younger. And I just always thought it'd be really cool, like just walk in that shop and then just see like a product that I've had some sort of input on the shelf. So I kind of set that as like one of my goals with Recoil, because obviously I was designing a product that actually kind of fitted within the category of DIY construction. So I thought, well, maybe try to get the product into Homebase. Maybe that's more opportunity. So I set that as a bit of a goal for myself. And then when I was actually bootstrapping the business and I'd gone back to Homebase, I used that time as well to just try and figure out like who are the right people within Homebase, like who's the buyers, how can I like chat to them and how can I tell them about what I'm doing. So I used that time quite productively as well. And I think that's the other thing, like whenever you find yourself in a situation, just like look for the opportunity in the situation, just make the most of it, even if it's not a situation that you planned on being in or like you really want to be in. Just think about like, well, is there anything like I can do here that to make the most out of it anyway? So yeah, I was working for Homebase and then managed to figure out who the buyer was, had some conversations with some people internally, told them about what I was doing. And then one thing led to another, and I finally managed to get a PO from Homebase. And I got the product into Homebase, and I managed to get it into the Greenock store, which is where I used to work. So I have the image of like, I've got the picture of me standing next to the shelf with the knee pads on it. And then when I'd actually just started the business as well, I was on this program called Starter for Six.
Mm-hmm.
And what they got you to do was think about your future evidence. So create something from the future that you wanted to come true. And I basically like, I decided, right, okay, I'll create like a Homebase like setup, so a Homebase receipt of like Recoil knee pads on it. And this is what I want to kind of get in real life. So when the product actually had gone into Homebase, I decided to buy a set so I could get like the genuine Homebase receipt that says like Recoil knee pads on it.
I love that.
I've got it next to my future evidence. So
yes,
that's probably my biggest kind of achievement, I think, with it. And the one I'm probably the most like proud of.
Oh, that's amazing. What a great story.
Thank you.
I bet you were absolutely delighted.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was good fun. It was really nice. It was good to kind of achieve that and have the genuine receipt next to the one that I created as part of that program as well. It was really, really cool.
No, absolutely. I mean, would that been one of your biggest kind of turning points in your business of like, oh my God, this is actually working, you know, like having it stopped? Or was there another moment in the kind of business journey where you thought, oh my God, it's working?
I think, so I would say that was probably like the biggest achievement, but the moment where things kind of probably really changed and we were like, oh wow, like actually this is really working was, so there's two kind of defining moments I think that come to mind. The first one was, it wasn't long after we'd launched the product on Amazon, and we were checking our Amazon reviews daily and stuff like that just to see like what people were saying. And then we got this 5-star review, and it was this guy who wrote basically a really lengthy review just saying about the problems that he was having with his knee pads and his knees. And he was in his late 20s and he was thinking about having to change career because his knees were in so much agony at the end of every day, and he didn't know how much longer he was going to be able to kind of continue in the occupation he was in, just because he was in agony basically. And then he bought our product and he wrote this really cool review where basically he was just saying that it changed his life and his outlook, and he was feeling much more positive that he could continue to work. And we were just like, oh wow, like this is really having like a big impact on people. And
that's
like
great.
it was just a phenomenally kind of like defining moment where we were like, actually, because everything up until that point had all been about my dad, and my dad saying that these are problems, and my dad saying yeah, this product solves it and it helps and stuff like that. So when we finally got, when we got that just completely random review left, and it was so in depth and so like lengthy as well, we were like, no, this is actually making a huge difference to quite a lot of people. So that was one defining moment. And then I think the other defining moment as well was with sales. So my background's obviously product design, and I did underestimate sales and marketing. And I probably hadn't put enough emphasis into the sales side of things. And we did struggle with it quite a bit at the start. It took a little bit longer than what we'd have liked to really kind of get the numbers in that we were trying to get. And then I remember we just got like an email from a company that we'd sold some previously to, and it was just like a PO, but we hadn't asked for it. And it was just like, can I order some knee pads? And that was also a defining moment, I think, because we had been like pushing so hard and we'd been chasing so hard, and every order we were getting was like us actually going out there and asking. And then we got this PO just emailed to us, and it was just like, okay, I've sold out of what you sold me previously. Can I get some more? And it was like, oh, wow, like, okay, this feels quite good. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
I love that. I mean, obviously, getting it in Homebase was great, and you know, the fact that people are now like chapping your door, from an idea that you've created, it must just be so satisfying. You must be incredibly proud of yourself.
Definitely, like, yeah, I'm really, really happy. Like, it's just, I think for me, it's really when we see the difference it makes to consumers and people that are using the product. And it's honestly, there's nothing better than when you get an email from a customer that's just said, like, this product has completely enabled me to do things that I didn't think I was going to be able to do for much longer. That's when you realize, like, oh, okay, this is actually really worth it. It's really making a huge difference to people. So keep going.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. That's really
you.
Amazing. So obviously running a business is hard work. I hope that you get time to look after yourself, because obviously looking after yourself, especially when you're running a business, is so important. But what do you like to do, you know, outside of running Recoil, you know, how do you like to recharge and unwind and just kind of take your mind off the business sometimes?
Yeah, so it's a really good question actually, and I think as a startup entrepreneur as well, it's so easy to get caught up in just literally doing your business all the time, because when you're starting a business, you're super passionate about what you're doing, and if you're not careful, your whole every single day can literally just become about your business, which isn't a bad thing at the start, but you do have to kind of eventually, start taking some time for yourself. So me personally, I quite like being outdoors and stuff like that. So I like going kayaking. I got into paddle boarding over the summer as well. I just like being outside, to be honest, being outside in the fresh air, lots of headspace as well. And I think that all does complement what you're doing with your business, because if you are outside and you're, not just focusing on the business all the time, that's usually when your best ideas will come along as well. So just go out, enjoy yourself with your friends, take some time, relax, and just do what you enjoy doing as well. So for me, it's being outside, just hill walking, kayaking, paddleboarding, whatever it might be.
That sounds great fun.
Yeah.
I do none of those things.
No, you should get into paddleboarding. That sounds
really fun.
It's good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Oh, love that. Well, thank you so much, Victoria. It's been a pleasure to speak to you today and learn more about your business. I think your story is incredibly inspiring. I very much hope that others who are watching this interview today will also be inspired by you. So thank you so much for your time.
No problem at all. No worries. It was good to chat to you. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you later.